Summary of recent events. Set photos leaked. On August 3, 2026, the first set photos leaked from the Toronto production of The Bell Jar, revealing Billie Eilish's dramatic visual transformation into 1950s protagonist Esther Greenwood. Period transformation. Filming photos captured Eilish wearing a 1950s vintage red knit sweater, pleated checkered skirt, bright red lipstick, and soft auburn brown pinned hair, a stark contrast to her signature oversized streetwear look. Feature acting debut. Directed by Oscar-winning filmmaker Sarah Polley, Women Talking. The Focus features and Plan B adaptation marks Eilish's first feature film lead role, bringing Sylvia Plath's classic 1963 semi-autobiographical novel to the screen. High-profile supporting cast. Academy Award nominee Carey Mulligan has joined the cast as Esther's mother, Mrs. Greenwood, alongside Connor Story in a supporting role as production transforms downtown Toronto into 1950s New York City. Intense online debates. The visual reveal triggered widespread social media debate surrounding pop stars transitioning into heavy literary drama, contrasting past failed attempts by Kirsten Dunst, Julia Stiles, and Dakota Fanning to get Plath's novel made. What happens when the biggest pop star of Gen Z trades her signature baggy streetwear and electric hair dyes for a 1950s pleated checkered skirt, soft auburn hair, and the weight of American literature's most devastating semi-autobiographical heroine? That exact question took over the culture this week when paparazzi and local onlookers captured the very first set photos of Billie Eilish filming in Toronto. The Grammy and Oscar-winning musician was photographed completely in character as Esther Greenwood for Oscar winner Sarah Polley's upcoming feature film adaptation of Sylvia Plath's classic 1963 novel, The Bell Jar. In the span of a single afternoon, photos posted from the set showed Eilish looking almost entirely unrecognizable. Dressed in a vintage red knit sweater, a tailored pleated skirt, bright lipstick, and a soft, side-parted auburn hairstyle, she looked as if she had stepped straight off a 1953 Manhattan sidewalk. Additional shots captured her on location wearing a muted teal dress, embodying the stark, understated look of Plath's central figure. Production has been quietly transforming downtown Toronto streets into mid-century New York City, where Esther Greenwood's story unfolds during a fateful summer magazine internship. Backed by Plan B Entertainment and Focus Features, the film also stars Carey Mulligan as Esther's mother, Mrs. Greenwood, and Connor Story in a key supporting role. The instant those Toronto set photos hit social platforms, the commentary community exploded. TikTok creators began dissecting her posture, side-by-side photo collages flooded X, and literary forums erupted into intense debates over whether a modern music icon can carry the immense psychological weight of Sylvia Plath's legacy. For decades, The Bell Jar has been viewed in the publishing and film worlds as an almost untouchable, notoriously difficult text to adapt for the big screen. The novel deals candidly with clinical depression, identity crisis, institutionalization, and the suffocating societal expectations placed on young women in the 1950s. When moviegoers see a pop star take on a literary titan, skepticism is natural. But the digital reaction to Eilish's visual reveal hasn't been a simple wave of internet cynicism. While some classic literature purists expressed concern that her massive celebrity status might distract from the quiet, internal tragedy of the narrative, a surprising consensus began building online. Fans and film enthusiasts pointed out that Eilish's actual public persona, defined by her raw vulnerability, introspective songwriting, and open discussions regarding mental health, makes her uniquely suited to understand Esther Greenwood's internal weather. Her previous brief, dark acting role in Donald Glover's thriller series, Swarm, demonstrated a quiet, unsettling dramatic range that surprised critics and proved she wasn't just taking vanity acting gigs. Understanding why this specific transformation has struck such a deep nerve requires examining Hollywood's bizarre, decades-long history with Sylvia Plath's work. The Bell Jar has spent almost half a century trapped in development hell. Ever since the original, poorly received 1979 feature film, a line of Hollywood's top actresses and directors have tried, and failed, to bring Esther Greenwood back to theaters. In the mid-2000s, Julia Stiles spent years trying to produce and star in an adaptation alongside Rose McGowan, only for financial backers to pull out. A decade later, Kirsten Dunst set out to make her directorial debut with an adaptation starring Dakota Fanning, but that project collapsed right before production was set to begin. A subsequent attempt to turn the novel into a limited television series was also scrapped. For 20 years, the project seemed cursed, unable to overcome the fundamental cinematic challenge. How do you translate a novel whose greatest power exists almost entirely inside a character's internal monologue onto a visual screen? That is where director Sarah Polley enters the picture. Polley, who won an Academy Award for her brilliant screenplay adaptation of Women Talking, has built a career around rendering complex, troubled female interiority with staggering sensitivity and precision. Pairing an auteur filmmaker of Polley's caliber with a pop star who commands the cultural consciousness of an entire generation represents a massive, calculated gamble for focus features and Plan B. This situation escalates beyond standard movie casting news because it highlights a major shift in how modern pop stars manage their long-term artistic reputations. In past eras, musicians making the jump to feature films typically picked safe, commercially packaged vehicles, musical comedies, action franchises, or romantic dramas designed to protect their mainstream pop brand. But we are witnessing a new blueprint in creator culture. High-profile artists are skipping the easy blockbuster cameos to throw themselves into gritty, high-risk dramatic roles that demand complete physical and emotional shedding of their public personas. For Billie Eilish, taking on the bell jar is an incredible artistic risk. If the performance lands with depth and sincerity, it instantly reframes her not just as a music phenomenon, but as a multi-hyphenate artist capable of stepping into classic drama. It elevates her reputation into the same rare space occupied by historic crossover figures who prove their dramatic chops on screen. On the flip side, if the performance feels flat or unable to carry the immense emotional weight of Plath's text, critics will be merciless, using her pop background as a weapon to dismiss the project as a miscast studio experiment. It is essential to clearly separate confirmed production facts from ongoing internet theories. Factually confirmed, Billie Eilish is currently in Toronto filming the lead role of Esther Greenwood in Sarah Polley's film adaptation of The Bell Jar. Factually confirmed, Carey Mulligan plays her mother, Mrs. Greenwood, with production targeting a theatrical release. What remains, pure online speculation, are theories regarding soundtrack contributions, rumors about Phineas scoring the film, or unverified claims about how faithful Polley's script will remain to the novel's controversial ending. As production continues on the streets of Toronto, a heavy cloud of expectation hangs over this film. Adapting Sylvia Plath isn't just making another period drama, it is handling a literary sacred text for generations of readers who saw their own silent struggles reflected in Esther Greenwood's words. Whether Billie Eilish can bridge the gap between 1950s literary despair and 2020s pop culture remains the film world's most fascinating unanswered question, leaving audiences to wait and see if this bold transformation will break the long-standing curse of the bell jar once and for all.